Good day. It's January 28th of 2022, and today I am about to embark upon an upgrade of my vSphere home lab. And right here I explain that back in November I had gone to the latest 7.0 update 3B for my VCSA and my ESXi host. And there was no reason to roll back when it got recalled later on. Anyhow, that's all behind us now as of yesterday, January 27th. The availability of vSphere 7 Update 3C was announced. So what I want to do is go ahead and, point out a couple things. One, you can follow me, subscribe to my RSS feed, or subscribe to my weekly newsletter to get notified of what's next. But basically, I'm trying to update this article. It's rather popular. I try to stay on top of it. This release came out late last night. So this article gets into, about a bunch of caveats, a bunch of warnings, but honestly, a lot of people just copy and paste this into their clipboard. And I'm going to fire up Putty and do that. But what's first before you do an ESXi host? Well, it's your vSphere, your VCSA appliance in my case. So if we head over here, just a quick summary, VCSA is at 7.03, and here's the build number, 189.0.12.11, just like I mentioned before. And if we point here, we can see my ESXi build number 189.0.5.247. And of course, looking at ESXi host client, you can see update 3 here. It doesn't actually mention the patch level, but you can see the image profile that I'm on. All right, but remember, we're supposed to always do VCSA first, and that can be done through VMware. Now you can fire this off through vSphere's lifecycle management, but I have only one host. And because in this circumstance, I'll probably end up just doing the ESX CLI. So we first start with VCSA. And to cover my butt and be able to easily roll back if things go a bit sideways here, one option you can do is head over to vSphere client and look at my list of VMs. And in my case, I'm going to simply right-click here and do a quick snapshot. So when I take the snapshot, 7.0, update 3, update 3B. So now VCSA is captured at this moment in time. You're really supposed to have backup software running on it, but a different issue of mine is server message block. Network shares are broken in it, so its daily backups have not been working either. And you might actually notice too, its uptime is quite high. It's been hanging out for 30 days. The server's been up for 30 days. And my VCSA has also been up for a while. I think we can see that in VMware. There we go. Okay, so the snapshot's happening. I'm now confident and ready to try the update procedure. So again, I have many different videos that talk about launching this from vSphere, lifecycle management, but basically it just kicks you over to VMware anyway. But let's have a look at that just for thoroughness in this video. So we've got the VCSA highlighted. We click on updates. It's doing its thing. All right, darn. So it's already saying up to date. So let's just move on. Let's head over to VMware and see what happens over there. Again, this code only came out an hour ago, or maybe it's not even on the server that is the back end for this. I don't know. Darn. Okay. So that leaves me with downloading it and mounting the ISO. Not something I usually bother doing, but let's give it a go. Okay, I'm going to need to log in. But you can see all the code looks like they made it available for the hypervisor itself and vCenter, so those are all good signs. Now I need to log in. Okay, I'm logged in, and we have a look here, and we can see the various versions. Let's go all the way to Enterprise and see what's showing there. All right, 9 gig in size, and indeed was released yesterday, and does seem to be available. So it looks like VMware is not available to us, but we can go ahead and get VCSA download going. That's going to be going to take some time. Speed's pretty good, so that's good with a 1 gig connection. Looks like I'm getting 275 megabits of my 1000 theoretical. So anyhow, that's making short order of that. How about ESXi itself? Just kind of thinking a lot about my next step here. I really wanted VMware to do its auto update magic. It is failing me. So now I guess I'm faced with, mounting the ISO and updating VCSA appliance that way if I want to actually get this thing going today, since VMware doesn't work. So I'm disappointed. I don't know why VMware would push the code to one place and not the other. Maybe someone just didn't finish before they went home kind of thing. And you normally, you don't do something the day it comes out. I get that, but still, this is by far the easiest way in a home lab. If you want people used to it, just that's disappointing, right? And of course, we saw that here too, right? It's not showing a new version here either. So now I'm stuck with the old-fashioned method of updating. Power off. And that thing was IP address .97, by the way. We're going to delete it. And there it goes, all its snapshots and everything gone. Now it's time to bring up the download and get cruising. Double click the ISO in Windows 11. Hey, this will be my first Windows 11 based VCSA install. So it's mounting the ISO now, and it's a big one. 9 gig in fact. So that takes a while. But I've never seen it take this long to mount an ISO. All right, while we hang out waiting for that, I'm going to run WinVer and just show you I'm on Windows 11 21H2, which I just updated to yesterday. Does it have a problem mounting large ISOs? I don't know. Maybe we're about to find out together. If it does, I could always fire up an old Windows 10 VM and stick this big, giant 9.5 gig ISO in there, mount it, and kick off the installer. It doesn't really matter. I just need a Windows machine to install from, right? That's able to mount ISOs. So, okay, so it looks like Windows, like integrity checker or whatever, file security, took that long. Over a minute just to pop this dialog up. So I was doing some sort of check if this is legit code or about to infect my machine. So that's something new to be aware of. Be patient when you double click that ISO. We're learning stuff together left and right. And here we go. UI installer. Win32. Double click the installer to launch it and wait. Now, I've got a VCSA DHCP reservation. So I need to log in and address that. So I'm going to delete in my router. And now I need to take notes of needing to blur out my IP address. Oh boy. Anyhow, services, actions, view leases, VCSA, static mappings, VCSA. All right, that's about to go away, all of that. I'll throw out my clipboard just in case, whatever, my little worksheet. Basically Notepad at this point, but that's fine. We're going to delete that because we're going to create a new appliance, right? So we want a fresh start. So watch the little spinning pinwheel. When it's done, it's done. Now we've freed up that name VCSA for other, reuse. All right. Has the installer launched? It looks like it did on another screen. So let's slide it on over here. And yeah, I think that came up in my periphery like 5-10 seconds after I launched the EXE. So it's not a terribly long wait. The size of it's a little, let's just go 1920 1080. All right. Install, deploy. accept, ESXi host. No need to fat finger or guess it, just paste it right here. Right? It's right in front of my eyeballs, my browser. Why would I risk fat fingering it? There's our first certificate warning. Many more to come. I do host name first, so that way I know what the host name is, and then just left VMware's default name alone. Okay, I've had some bumps in the road occasionally with Tiny, even though I have only a small number of VMs, a couple dozen, 3 dozen. So I don't know. I'm always willing to give it a fresh start. I'll stick with Tiny and see how this goes. That's what most people would do in their home lab. I always do thin disk mode for sure, and then I go to NVMe storage for speed for sure. So I'm going to do that again, and I'm going to pick this guy that has 1.86 available, or there was something wrong with it earlier, so I'm going to go with this one. Still has plenty of space available. 323. All right, here's where things get interesting. Static IP address assignment. So this is one way to do it. Hard code the sucker, and then go to my router and say, hey, make a reservation and have the name of this MAC address always be VCSA, so that when NS lookups happen, they work. So that's one approach. So I'm a little on the fence about this. Let's see what the DHCP looks like here. All right, so let me do DHCP and give it a fully qualified name. I'm going to give that a go first. That's applicable to more people's home labs and routers that are consumer-based, but it's a long shot whether that's going to work. So again, I have a little notepad, so we did DHCP on the first try, basically, and vcsa.lab.local, fully qualified spelled out, and that's it. Next kind of thing. So we won't know for quite a while if this actually works. I have other videos that show like time-lapse and the whole install procedure, so I'm not so focused on that today, so I'm not sure if I'm going to leave this recording the whole time and speed it up or just kind of pause, but we'll see. All right, I'm just going to check in on things quickly here. Remember that Ubiquity router stuff I was doing. Let's see if there's a VCSA hanging out here. So let's go to View Leases. So a new VM has been powered on, right? Do we know its IP address? We could have a look. Edit settings. And go to network, connect to power on, and there it is. Hasn't shown up yet, so I'm going to create a new mapping. And hit save. So if we create an NS lookup function that's going to work at this moment in time, let's do that. And reverse lookup. So we're good there. And the install should be fine. Continue. So that's my technique, around 90%, or a little under 90%. Go ahead and have the peek at the powered on VM once you see the word powered on VM. I think that was back at 60. I'll have to look at the time lapse of that. But anyhow, when you see the VM powers up, grab the MAC address, make a lease, and it should be good at that point. This DHCP VM we just created should use that lease that we created and give us no name resolution problems as we create our new cluster of one node in this case. Not too much longer before we can kind of test drive things. So if this actually works, that'll be a delightfully easy process to create a home lab if you have a router that'll let you do what I just showed you. All other scenarios, you have a consumer router that doesn't let you do local names, forward and reverse lookups, You might need like a Windows server for that, or some other DNS DHCP solution. I don't know. But anyhow, Ubiquiti edge routers can be a nice, cheap way to do it. They're not super easy, GUI setup, unfortunately. But once you do have them set up and have articles about this, boy, it's really nice to be able to do what I just did. And basically nail down your vSphere admin needs in your home with a metal box that sits right next to my Eros that are in bridge mode for Wi-Fi. So that's how I run my home network, literally one flat network, keeping it super simple, because I actually use my vSphere lab. It's not really a lab, it's more like a vSphere data center running 24/7 in my home efficiently on a low whopper Xeon D CPU. But anyhow, all that aside, we're done with step one, and it says 219, so that's an epic fail right there. Dang it, what happened? So it's not looking good. So this is an example where I probably have to redo the install. So 219, who's got 219? Huh. Okay, so give me the wrong IP. Can I live with that? Sure, I can live with that. So let's delete that guy. That just didn't work out. Somehow I ended up with a different MAC address in the end. So I don't know what happened there or why. And now let's make a reservation out of this lease. All right, so refinement to my technique. Wait till the very end, read what it says, and then just run with it. And that'll become my VCSA. Now when I hit continue, it's going to jump to that URL, but let's see what happens here. It's gone, good. 219. So forward and reverse lookup. Testing is now complete. All that squared. Let's see what happens. So the installer is now launching this, and we might be okay. Continue right along and hoping for the best. I synchronized my ESXi host, which is already hitting the NTP time servers. So I'm cool with that. And then SSH access, yes. Okay, creating a new one. And this is light gray, so you got to type it. Okay, I'm going to leave that on. It's interesting that they have you opting in by default, but that definitely helps adoption. And there's lots of benefits to that program. And now it's basically saying you won't be able to pause or do anything during this. And my notes myself are not terribly detailed or fancy, but at this point they're just this, right? For a future article or notes in the video. Just saying, hey, some stuff I got to do to the video, and then also here's what happened. That didn't work out and ended up with 219 instead for whatever reason. But anyhow, this is the gist of it. At the end of stage one, make a name reservation from the lease granted. If that process works, I'll be pleased. It's varied quite a bit over the years since my original video in 2015. Back when I had to do hacks with a consumer router. So now instead I use a little step-up router that's a little more expensive, but well worth it, in my opinion. Okay, we'll see what happens. If at the end it says, okay, jump to this URL and it has the IP address 219, I guess that's okay, but I'm hoping it'll actually say, jump to vcsa.lab.local, whatever. I don't know. Does it matter? Well, if I'm able to get in with VCSA as the host name and do my stuff in the vSphere UI, I'm good. But if it's hard-coded to IP and it acts wonky, I'm not good. I'm going to start it all over again, the iterative process. Okay, stay tuned. I'm going to have to time-lapse this section as well. Okay, I'm back. And this is a best case scenario. The name is there. So I'm delighted to see that. That's super awesome, and it's been booted for a little while. And now I launch this, and the installer auto closed, which is intriguing and odd to me because I don't know what happened. But anyhow, let's go back here. That's what it was pointing us to. No, that's VMware. Let's just go right to the root here. So fresh start would be, so I don't actually remember what it said. I'd have to look back at the video. So it was a little bit of a weird ending there where it abruptly ended. Let me quickly look at Windows Event Viewer and see, did the application croak or something? Ooh. Okay, that's not ideal. Maybe it's just not done yet. Let's have a look here at host client, see what's up there. So we've got a vCenter server built, and it still says 219. So that's not great. All right. Let's see what happens if I do 10.10.1.219. All right, so we're looking at certificate error stuff going on here, right? We're able to get in with the IP, but my goal is to get in cleanly with a name. So how do I go about cleaning this up short of reinstalling? I'm not sure. The fact that it says DHCP and 219 is, it's interesting. I'm not sure what to say there. Let's see what happens if I hit customize system F2. Configure management network. DNS configuration. And my host name is set properly there, so that's cool. IP config, everything looks good there. And normally you don't mess around in here, right? Because it's all, there's no reason to mess around in here. It's all working. Everything looks legit and correct inside the stack. So the VM itself is configured fine. Now we're facing things like it's actually a caching issue, something else going on. Normally you expect a certificate issue, and I'm not seeing that. But anyhow, I know we need to go to Certificate Manager. How do you go about doing this? So we didn't actually get the invalid error, but it's basically telling us the fix. So remove the old one, install the new one. Cert Manager, enter, look for issued by CA and delete that one. But strangely, it's not saying VMware Engineering, but let's double check here and make sure. Okay, the Details tab. Look for Subject, VMware Engineering. There it is, VCSA local. All right, so that's the one we want to delete because it's old. Okay, and then cookies. We're going to delete cookies for VCSA. And the way we do that is here, this article, bring up this URL. Interesting. Let's try going here instead. Privacy, cookies. See all cookie and site data. And delete all that VCSA stuff. All right. And now we've got to restart the browser, which is painful. So because it's painful, I don't really want to lose all the tabs I'm on. Let's do a browser restart function here. Bear with me. Okay, and that involves going here, Chrome restart, and Chrome's now restarting. Well, that failed. It restarted my browser, my other window, and my other profile, but not the one that I actually cared about. So that's a bit painful. All right, last pass is back. All right, where were we? Well, with the cookies thrown out, let's see if we can get VCSA to show up at all. The fact that we can't is not a great sign. Now, there are browser bypasses. In Chrome, you can type something to, get this proceed button to show. But I just showed you a different way about it. Just go over to IP. Just to get in and blow away this VCSA VM and start all over. Okay, that sucker's gone. And here we go again. All right, Win32, that sounds promising. That's where the installer is and that ISO we mounted. That took a while to open up. Okay, we're going static this time. And before I forget, I'm going to go ahead and take care of the router. Okay, we now flush that. Oh. Something wrong. 219 is still there. Yeah, that's not good. So it's missing from here, but it's still at least with a name there. No, I don't want to delete the entire DHCP server. Oh, this is painful. So what's going on now? All right, we're going to have to do some crazy workaround, like map it to VCSA old to get it to go away. It just shows how important it is to be careful and double check your work and make sure you're good to go before you conclude much of anything. So now I just try to work around and see if we can get this thing to delete. Okay, so what's the least now for 219? At least it shows old, so it should be out of the way at least. Yep. All right. All right, we're ready to proceed. We could also do one of these. All right. Always be careful and thorough when you can. All right. Ready to move on. Hard-coded IP with a name. We'll still make an address reservation for it in DHCP, so but at least this should generate the certificate correctly and things shouldn't get all wonky with the name mismatch with IP. All right, while that's going, I'm going to go ahead and look at my certificate and see if I can find which one is from VMware. Maybe it's just not refreshing, so I'm going to run it again. And there it is. It was not refreshing. VMware Engineer VCSA. That's the one. That one needs to go. You can back it up first if you'd like and export it, but be very careful in there. All right, so I've cleaned that up. That's good. And now we just wait again. Hopefully you're still with me. I mean, you can see from the video description whether this worked out or not, but if you actually stuck through with me the whole while, you're learning what it's like to actually maintain a home lab. It can be challenging at times. And because of the whole certificate issuance thing and my insistence of having names rather than IPs in a home lab, I made it hard on myself, admittedly. Most people are probably just firing up VMware Workstation to create an ESXi host or two and installing VCSA, whatever. That's different than me, though. I'm trying to do things like the right way. So I'm back. It's a while later. We've got an IP address instead of a name. So yeah, that bothers me a little, but not a lot. So at this point, we should know its MAC address. I should be able to set up domain name service, right? So let's see what we got. So as expected, there's no static mapping for .97. That's what you'd expect, right? So all right, editing its settings. Go into the network adapter. Grabbing that into the clipboard. And making a static mapping. So it's not set to DHCP right now. It's a hard-coded one, but this way we set it aside and make domain name lookups start working. There it is. It's all perfect. So domain name service is working. All right. Now we're going to try step 2, or sorry, stage 2, continuing along here, and seeing if in the end we can get into the VCSA UI, vSphere client, through a name in our browser tab rather than IP.
Improving technology.
Okay, I'm back, and it's got the good news of showing the host name. See what happens when we click on it this time. Okay, it closes and it starts in my primary browser. So it's fine. Installer.exe closes. That's a new behavior. But it started over in another window in a different browser profile, which makes sense because that's my default one. So that's something I missed on the previous run. So let me just drag that window over here. Can minimize the installer launch window. And let's pick up with that URL, workflow installer. Yeah, how about we just paste that to a different browser and see how we do? Nope. So this is what it's like. Some challenges. Having another browser like Firefox hanging around might be come in handy right now. Let's see if it lets me continue. Accept the risk and continue without actually viewing this or downloading, installing the cert. So we're good. You know, bullet dodged, but yeah, a little awkward. So let's launch this and see how it looks. Okay, I had a long URL with SSO in it, which is interesting. So I'm not doing using SSO, but all right, we're in. So we have a successful install. That's good. But we need to get that certificate downloaded, right? So over here, let's see if we can get a better behavior going. So Firefox lets us also download the certificate. Didn't let me specify the folder, but that's fine. Open that sucker up. And what do you know, it's on my other monitor. But anyhow, it's the same process as you did. Doesn't matter how you get the cert with what browser. Go into the Windows folder, double click the CRT, open that up, and put it into the local machine. Say yes to user access control and place it in the trusted root certification authorities. Hit next. All right, I have reasons to be thorough here that it doesn't seem to refresh, so let's restart a new instance of the certificate manager, and let's just make sure we're good. There it is, vcsa.live.local. So the certificate's installed, and then we've got Chrome restart to do. Chrome restart. All right, and then you might also remember there was that discarding of cruft that we need to do. Okay, ESXi doesn't have any, by the way, but this did. So given we have some trouble there on the individual hosts and we're trying to do a fresh start and build a new cluster, I'm going to go ahead and delete those as well. I deleted the prototype. That was not necessary, a different one, but that's okay. That one's getting rebuilt as well. So now we've got a clean Chrome. Let's see what we can do here. Let's start with, can we get into the host? No, not yet. But we haven't added it to the cluster yet, so I guess that's okay. How about, can we get into vSphere client? And the answer appears to be a yes. That's good. So we got the padlock on there. Things are looking good. All right. How about it? I'd say it's time to add this host to the cluster. All right, so now we got to do a new data center. Right-click in the data center, add host. Lockdown mode now. All the data stores and everything should light up. All right, how are we doing on VMs? Cool. So it's seeing them, so we're fine. But yeah, I've lost my auto start folder, for example. So I'm going to take a moment to set that up, and then we're going to go over to updating ESXi hosts. So I'm feeling good about this. I don't see any need to rebuild. I can get in by name. And now that the ESXi host is on there, I should be able to log into the host, but I might have some more work to do. And again, maybe not. Look at that. Padlock on. So all I had to do is get it attached to the cluster and we were good to go. That was pretty cool. Wow, this is a lot. This is a rich video. Lots happening here. So yeah, create a folder. So let's call it a, let me think how I want to do this. In my data center, how did I have it before? That's always a challenge. Okay, so we have absolutely No hierarchy here. This is just my little tradition. I take VMs that need to auto start, like my UPS power monitoring in the middle of a snowstorm that I'm in right now, so it'll automatically gracefully shut down if some bad stuff happens. My vCenter, which I forgot to rename VCSA, so I can go ahead and fix that. Now the name on the data store is still untouched. Sorry, my convention is like this. So my host name and then some other friendly name. But yeah, let's move that to auto start as well. Okay, that was awkward. So right-clicking on that got weird. Here's another auto start one. And yeah, at the moment I'm not using that auto start function. Okay, so now are these actually set to auto start? Well, we've got to go to the host level and say, hey host, configure VM startup shutdown. And that's interesting. We've got some set that were stated in the host level, but I have one more to add. So we didn't lose everything. It wasn't that bad. And automatically start and stop the virtual machine, shutdown delay 5, and then guest. So yeah, some stuff worked, right? It's not so bad, like I said. But now I've got to do manual, and we want to get our VCSA in there. So kind of something you don't really want to forget. Oops, I skipped right past it. There it was. So they've changed the UI there quite a bit. I'd say it's a little clumsy. Yeah, what's the 3 dots do? Okay. So yeah, it's a little clumsier, but now we're good. So the VCSA is going to come up, my power monitoring, and another VM I use. So feeling good about that. And at this point, I've rebuilt my lab. Again, most of my clutter is, I don't have to add a lot to inventory. My hosts managed to take care of that. I've got some of these to acknowledge because they're full. They're actually VMTKs that fill the whole drive, and I'm cool with that. This one I'll check into. But anyhow, yeah, it's just the test VMs on there. So I think I'm in good shape. Feeling a lot better about things. And now that a few hours have passed, why don't we just, for grins and giggles, go here, click on updates, and see what happens. All right. Now, we already have VCSA updated, and we know what's going to happen there. If we click on updates there, it's going to say nothing's available, because we have the very latest. But we also know it wasn't hitting a backend server. When I tried this just 3 or 4 hours ago, I didn't see the new version. So I ended up doing a fresh install, right? So there's that. But anyhow, back to an individual host to update. Well, VCSA is running on the same system, and yes, that poses a challenge. 2 nodes, ideally, you'd move VCSA somewhere else and just run it with Lifecycle Manager. But today, the thing I'm really eager to do is test out the ESXi method of updates. So, we covered this article earlier, didn't we? Here's my virtualization articles. Anyhow, ESXi is the super easy way that's been listed right here on the right side for years. Easily update through ESXi. This I want to update. I want to test this one line of code on this backed up machine that's been running for months on this particular version of ESXi. Update 3B, it's called. And you can see it's connected. So it's been up for 31 days. All right, here we go. Time for some more putty fun. So let's right click on putty and let's get right to it. Again, I have image backups discussed here where you can actually use something like this and clone the drive before you get started. The days are numbered, though, for using this kind of media. You really want to move to something else, like an M.2 or whatever. But anyhow, I show you that because there's USB image tool in here, which is basically, cloning. All right, back to where we were, and that was this article. You're supposed to read through all the caveats. You'll see we're trying to go to 3C, and we've got this thing in our clipboard where if you triple click or copy, it's actually going to run the command, and it actually pastes in the carriage return. So I want you to be aware of that. Read your release notes first, do your VCSA first like I did, and here we go. I'm going to make this wide so we don't have as many word rep issues. And there it goes. And I'll screenshot this and grab a transcript or grab whatever happens, because my article actually has all that, including all the bundles and bibs that it's doing. So this is going well. If it didn't find the repository up on the server it's hitting on this URL here, would have bombed out by now. So it looks like in a matter of 5 or 10 minutes after the reboot, I will have myself an ESXi 7.0 update 3B to 3C successful upgrade. Or update is really the word here. So stay tuned for that. Wait a few more seconds for this to show. All right. It finished. And now it's a matter of rebooting. Now you can do that here. You're supposed to be in maintenance mode. You need to make sure VMs are down. In our case, VCSA is set to auto restart. So that's all good. I got to grab a quick screenshot here and screen scrape of the text. Just a moment. Okay, screenshot grab, text added to the article. So now when we reboot, we're obviously going to break the PuTTY connection. And we'll end up hearing a little beep as PuTTY breaks the SSH connection. And in 2 or 3 minutes, we'll have ourselves a new host, and another 5 minutes after that, VCSA will be running, and we can look in the vSphere client. So I'm going to wait for all that to settle down after the reboot. And actually, you might recall, we have a way to watch this thing reboot. So let's do that. But yeah, this is a good feeling that things didn't go so well in the middle, but at least I worked my way out of past all the issues, and now I'm ending up with a lab I'm comfortable and feeling good about. So actually replacing VCSA surgically, kind of with surgical precision, only deleting the cookies and stuff related to it, and an ESXi host, replacing the certificate. Just a lot was covered here. Just let that finish, and maybe I'll time lapse this. We'll come back in a bit when we're ready to have a look at things and update the article to let folks know that my update to ESXi was successful on my Xeon D-based host. Okay, we're back with the DCUI, the local user interface. So now it's time to check out this interface. So let's hit refresh there. Of course, you're going to log in, and we're in. Zoom 100% level. And there we go. Update 3C right there in the build level. Now, you'd think it showed up here, right, for consistency. It really should. Anyhow, that's me nitpicking. You can see it's auto-starting VMs, completed successfully. So VCSA is starting as I'm gabbing away here. And again, that takes a while. And you'll notice it says running. So it's still in the process of making sure everything's up. And even my biased version here shows. I'm also going to show you some good news here that this happened. This has been updated when update 3 came out. So we got 7.0 update 3 support on the Xeon D 1500 series that we're running. So that's a good thing. And this is the particular machine I'm running, a 5028D. Now it is BIOS level 2.1, so they did not update that to say BIOS level 2.3. Just pointing that out. So technically, that could possibly be an issue with support. So you got to be very careful when you're opening a ticket to match not only VMware compatibility guide, but ideally also the BIOS level that's listed there. All right, I'm just a curious type of person. I like to see how products look while they're coming up. I like to learn. So, hey, while we're hanging out here together, let's look at vSphere client, what kind of wonky states it is in this early in the boot state that it's in. and its wonkiness is showing. How about VMware? How's VMware looking? Okay, uptime of 2 minutes, so VMware is showing everything healthy. We can have a look at time, synchronizing with host. Yep, that time is correct. Update, of course, is going to show nothing. And backups. Do backups work over SMB again? I don't know, but I sure am curious to find out. And I have to reconstruct my SMB path. So that's one of the first things I'll be doing after finishing this video. Super important to set that up because this is your only legit way to back up your server on a daily basis. All right, so vSphere client, still not too happy. There you go, no healthy upstream. That's not all that wonky. I've seen worse errors while it's coming up. I hit a simple refresh, not Control F5, just F5. And it's just telling me, I'm not ready yet. Now, it's a little interesting, too. If you look at VMware and you look at the summary page, everything seems healthy and up. Good, 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 good. So it seems like it should not, I don't know, maybe a green checkbox for ready for login kind of thing, but, still stuff is still obviously starting when I can't even log in. Password. Remember I told you I had a problem with the password timeout. And 0 didn't work out so well last time. So this time I'm going to go nuts and see what number is the max. Okay. So I set 0 and yes. Didn't work out, I believe. So I don't know. Let's cancel that. Let's just go to say edit and say password expires no. Hit save. Oh, this feels good. And look at that. Nice. A warning about the KB article that's hanging out explaining all of what's happened. Good job, VMware, on that. Ooh, okay, some complexities there explained. Especially about this driver thing that bit them pretty hard, or bit users hard. And VMware support, frankly. So that's cool. I like that. And licensing, I'll have to deal with the vExpert program or vMug Advantage Eval Experience program. Either way. And hopefully those folks are all updating their code to the C version now. It's been a weird few months for them, admittedly. Let me show you. Download any which way, right? Here's the update any which way article. This clearly needs to be updated. More than just what I wrote here. And I'll finish off this video by saying, please consider following me on Twitter. Follow my articles about virtualization of the RSS feed. You can find RSS clicker here or right up here. There's also subscribe to my weekly newsletter, which is also done over here. And of course, videos. I have a vSphere playlist. So if you look over here on the YouTube channel, consider subscribing there as well. There's full playlists, and many of them, like vSphere 7 sounds promising. We view that, and there's a lot of content. And of course, the video I just recorded here is going to be posted there. So please consider subscribing to these various ways to follow me and my work. That's always greatly appreciated. It is very difficult to create a long form video like this. The editing is very painful. It takes way longer than actually recording it. Again, hopefully you found this video helpful, and articles that I write also to be helpful. Some people like both, and a lot of my articles feature videos. Depends on your learning style. So I feel really good to be up here where I wanted to be, and now I can happily tweet out to folks, yep, success. By 1:10 p.m. I got it all done. So far, so good. There's more testing to be done, of course, in the coming days and weeks. That's when you really know things are working well, but so far, I feel better. I'll sleep better at night, though, when I know my VCSA appliance is getting daily backed up. But at least now, I know reconstructing it really isn't that big a deal either. Even in today's certificate world that complicates browsers a bit. Thanks again for watching. Bye-bye for now.